Recording in progress.
We are.
Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. We'll go start the meeting. Let's first take roll.
Commissioner Lydie. Here. Commissioner Wagner.
Present.
Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Kreiner. Commissioner Calandra.
Here.
Vice Chair Bray.
Here.
Chair Bain.
Here. Let's everyone please stand. We'll go ahead and do the pledge of allegiance. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll go ahead and read the procedures for the meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. The public may participate in tonight's meeting by using the Zoom link provided on the Planning Commission agenda. Please note that all virtual participants will be unmuted until they are called upon by the chair, at which point they will be unmuted. If you're a member of the public and would like to comment on an item, use the raise hand function on Zoom. To avoid any confusion, please wait for the item you desire to comment on to be called by the chair before electronically raising your hand. For each matter considered by the commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project will then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing the length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and in opposition to the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3 lights on the podium next to the microphone will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. Green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. The yellow light will come on with the south bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing testimony by the time the red light comes on with the final bell indicating time has expired. All in-person public testimony must be presented to the commission at the podium. Any testimony that represents race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the commission in making land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you can be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony before the hearing. To start today's meeting with the approved agenda, do we have any changes?
Good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Mr. Trejo with the Planning and Development Department. Staff has no changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Sir? We'll go ahead and go out to the public. Do we have any individuals from the public who would like to make a comment on the agenda? Any on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any changes or motions?
I'll move to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Chair Bray, a second by Commissioner Wagner. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion's approved. Do we have any reports by the commission? I see none. We have continued matters, ID 24772. That one's going to be continued until June 19th, 2024. So we'll move forward with new matters, ID 24776. City Council initiated general plan amendment and rezone application number 224-00589.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Ralph Cacciadorian with the Planning and Development Department here to present this report. Thank you. Use this one. Chad, before you is consideration of a City Council initiated plan amendment and rezone application with its related environmental findings. The assessment under P2400589 is to identify the subject properties. It's 2 parcels totaling 2.26 acres along East McKinley Avenue, the northwest corner of McKinley and North Fine. This kind of shows you the layout. Given the parcel, 2.26 acres, the two parcels, property, you'll see that there's one large building, which is mixed with office, probably mostly office developments.
Lots of improvements, parking. The other smaller parcel, which is about 0.69 acres, portion of that is developed, as you can see, with parking, a little bit of landscaping, yet there is a small 0.20 acre, less than a quarter of an acre, a third of an acre site that's undeveloped. The proposal has this area for the proposed plan amendment and rezone. This diagram shows you how the properties are light industrial. To the west of the property, which is community commercial. Now this rezone was initiated by the City Council by Resolution 2023-264 back in September 28, 23, in order to amend the planned land use and the zoning of the subject properties, and going from light industrial, as you saw in the diagram, to commercial community. The intent to do this is to allow for uses to be more in line with the adjacent commercial properties to the west, which is already zoned community commercial, as opposed to the adjacent and nearby industrial uses, which you saw on the diagram to the north, as well as to the east across the street from Fine Avenue. So this kind of shows how the proposed rezone and GPA would look like with community commercial. Again, this project was reviewed, had public notice and input, March 27th. Notices were sent out to the tribes for consultation. It was sent to them under SB 18, which is required when we're doing a general plan amendment rezone and we have an initial study done on this project. That consultation period will end June 24th, coming up. 90 days is required for that consultation period. In April, the Fresno County Airport Land Use Commission reviewed the project and approved the plan amendment rezone. On May 21st, Council District 4 Project Review Committee recommended its approval. On May 24th, the Planning Commission public hearing notice was mailed out to surrounding property owners. And finally, on May 31st, a notice of intent to adopt the environmental assessment was filed and published. This environmental assessment consists of the negative declaration. Now, with the plan amendment rezoned, the development code under section 155812 indicates that if a proposed plan amendment rezone is proposed, then it must be subject to meeting the following findings. In a sense, it's called out as criteria. These are the three criteria, which is in your report. Now, for the Commission's consideration, upon consideration of the evaluation provided, staff presents the Commission with the following three options for consideration and recommendation of this plan amendment rezone to the City Council. Option 1 is to recommend its denial. You don't want to move forward with it. Option 2 is to recommend approval, subject to the findings and the criteria, which is Exhibit G in your packet, or adopt alternative findings. Or Option 3, recommend approval with conditions. And this would require we could include recommended conditions with a motion, or subject to the findings and criteria, which you have again in Exhibit G, or adopt alternative findings. That is the end of my presentation on this proposal.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions from the Commission? Go ahead, Ms.
What types of uses are allowed in the community commercial? What types of?
Well, there's a variety of uses, from small shopping centers, even sometimes larger shopping centers, your retail, your entertainment, your restaurants, offices, variety of commercial uses that you find along any of the commercial retail corridors that you see.
So that would include like 7-Elevens and?
Yes, it could include that. Markets, convenience retail.
Go ahead.
Is this, I recall we had, I believe this is a property we had considered quite a while ago where they were going to put a car wash on that corner, and the people in the back who were helping the developmentally disabled were opposed to it. Would this affect their ability to continue their business where they are?
To do the business of the existing businesses, would it affect them? No, it would not.
And just for confirmation, what we're doing today is just recommending to the city. There's no projects identified. We're just rezone, correct?
That's correct.
Do we have any questions? Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So we're going to go to the public. Do we have any individuals from the public who would like to speak in support? Any on Zoom?
None at this time.
Supporting? You're going to be able to speak against or support, and that way you can give your time. Right now it's in support, so if you're willing to speak in support, go ahead. That's correct. Yep. This is the one. This one is the one where we're doing the general plan amendment. Okay, gotcha.
Phil, yeah, so I think it would be okay to just take general public comment.
Okay, let's go into that. So go ahead, please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Manuel Cunha, president of the Nisei Farmers League at 1775 North Fine. We are a business complex. We have 10 buildings. Everybody owns their own buildings in that complex. It's gated, secure, like little Fort Knox, to protect the staff and other things. So in the whole discussion, my concern was of whatever piece of property is going to be in that little piece, the biggest concern we have is traffic. We have a massive traffic problem at 4:30, 4:15 coming from the north, going toward McKinley on Fine. The cars can go clear back up to the credit union, okay? In the mornings, when coming from McKinley and turning north on Fine off of McKinley, that little piece right there, when you turn, you have traffic going west on McKinley, going toward Kentucky Fried Chicken, if you're coming from the airport there by Channel 47. To cross it is difficult. And if there's something that's going to be turning left into this parking area, and if it's something that requires more traffic, you're going to have a mess of people trying to turn on to Fine to go to their businesses, as well as making that left-hand turn going into the new business. So my only thing is, when it rains and it floods there, it's a disaster. The water will go past our Fine complex with about 1.5 feet of water in the street, clear toward the credit union. So those are the things I think we need to look at. And I noticed it in the report. I understand commercial, non-commercial, and all that. But you have to take in this traffic. It's a mess there. At the 4:30, it goes way back. Sometimes in our own complex, people have to wait and separate so we can come out our own selves and go north, let's say. So that's my only thing, is that we have to respect the traffic. And secondly, the facility that's in there does a tremendous job with the people that they have and the care for those people that have disabled problems and issues. And they walk around there. And when I go by there, and I've been on Community Hospitals Board for 19 years, so I've been going to downtown regional, out of Clovis, the heart of, at night, just to see what goes on in our facilities. But what they do to take care of these folks that have these ailment problems, they walk around there. And it is incredible to see, because they come out of a building and they have to be careful. So I know I'm over time, so I apologize, but that's my one concern, is the whole traffic situation has to be looked at, because we're out there every day. and we see what happens. And I think traffic has to be considered. Whatever's going to go in there could cause a real problem if you're going to turn into a shopping little mall or whatever. Thank you very
sir.
much.
Appreciate it.
Chair, I'll give you time. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Thank God for technology, huh? All right, next individual. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Yes, good evening. My name is John Kinsey, Wanger Jones Helsley, 265 East River Park Circle. I'm here on behalf of Mass Investment. They're one of the 2 landowners that are the subject of this rezone. They're the smaller parcel that's rectangular. And one thing that I wanted to just emphasize is I've been in front of this body many times, and one of the things that I've learned is the importance, especially on the part of the applicant, to reach out early and often to stakeholders. And that helps vet concerns that the stakeholders have regarding a project. It helps reduce conflict. And it ultimately creates better outcomes from what I've seen. Here, unfortunately, that just didn't occur. Our landowner got notice a couple days ago of this meeting, and that was the first that my client had learned that their property was going to potentially be rezoned and that there's going to be a hearing on it. I'm here with one of the representatives of Mass Investment. Unfortunately, her brother Moassad couldn't be here because it's one of his child's graduations, so that's when this got set. So we're a little bit, it's unfortunate that the Project Review Committee, the tribes, the ALUC, all got notice of this rezoning before the actual property owner. That's remarkable. And so I'm not here to point fingers, I'm not here to cast blame, but I'm here to request some additional time and for this meeting to be continued, because I do think that it's incumbent upon the city to interface with landowners about the potential rezones of their property before it occurs. We need to understand better the actual need for this rezone, if there is one. I think the city needs to understand what my client's concerns are with respect to the rezone, and ultimately we need to interface with the neighbors too, because we have restrictive or mutual covenants between the 2 properties. So, and as I think you can see from some of the comments before me, there is some confusion about ultimately what's being proposed, why it's being proposed, and so this is something that, especially because there have been projects that have been approved and then denied on this particular property here, this one really screams that additional outreach is needed, especially so my clients know what the rules of the game are. So we would invite meetings with the city, with the neighbors, but ultimately this body shouldn't act tonight. We do think that additional time for interface is required. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other individuals? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, miss.
My name is Raina Assad, and my address is 1788 East Niles. Good afternoon to the commissioners and Chair Vang. I'm here with Mass Investment Group, and as John mentioned, Mo couldn't be here because it's his daughter's graduation. But just to kind of reiterate, we just learned about the potential rezone for the first time last week. And I just want to come here and ask if we can, ask the commission to kind of take no action this evening, and rather that the meeting should be continued so that we can have proper discussions about this rezone with the city and the other landowner. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Sammy Lee Yang, and I'm the CEO of Rivendell Community, the center that is actually on the other piece, the bigger piece of land. I'm at 4927 East McKinley, and I am in favor of the rezoning. My company has just purchased since November the whole property. I've done tremendous work. I put in a lot of fences around just to keep my clients safe. anything that is compatible with the businesses that I have now, because my clients and myself, we are going to be there for a long time. And we would like the committee to consider whatever is coming in, please make it compatible with the current use. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
My name is Gary Dusko. The address is 851 North Venice. The Camry towards Blackstone, towards the Fresno City College. I go to school there. Every time I get a class, that street right there on Blackstone, the Kinley, it's got a lot of dirt and block off in the street. And every time I go to school on Tuesday to Thursday, and I take my night class and stuff, it's got big hole like this, you know. So anyways, why come I came here today, because just to let you guys know, is it's got a big hole right there, and the bus stops right there towards it. The Wendy's is the start light. Okay, then after that, then I just ride my bike to the whole bunch of dirt, and and it's right there between Carl Jr.'s, the Kinley, yeah, and then towards the road tracks. And I just ride my bike in daytime, and somebody almost got hurt. And that is dangerous right there, too. So, yeah, that's what I was here for.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Do we have any other individuals in here? Any on Zoom?
None at this time.
Let's go ahead and we'll close all public comments. Can we have staff address some of these concerns in regards to you have traffic, requested more time?
In response to the concerns about, lack of notification and being notified a little late, this application, the way it was initiated, was not typical, in that there was no actual formal applicant requesting that. Typically, that an applicant would have a neighborhood meeting and notification and outreach beforehand. However, this was initiated by the city council for staff to move it forward, and so they had the proposed change of the plan of land use and zoning, and so staff took that initiation and has processed it through the typical process. And sorry.
Go ahead.
What motivated the council to make the change? I mean, was there someone that had come to them? And
there was no specific motive identified in the initiation, so anything I would say would be purely speculative. And regarding some of the flooding that would occur there, that would be addressed upon development of the site. When a development project does come in and is proposed, that a grading plan would be prepared, and it would need to be demonstrated that the development, that drainage could adequately be drained out to existing facilities within the area. If not, then a potential on-site retention basin. But again, that would really be approved upon development. And similar with traffic as well. There's no actual project being proposed. And upon development, project, whatever would go in there, would need to comply with VMT requirements. And so really no actual project is proposed. So it would be kind of speculative a little bit to determine the potential traffic impacts.
Awesome, thank you. Question for you is, if this gets approved tonight, when is the expected timeline that City Council will actually hear the the topic.
So,
More than likely, it's going to be at the July 25th meeting.
yes.
Do we have any questions from the commission?
I have some comments and questions. So are you saying that potentially moving forward, this would help to bring attention with the flooding and the traffic in the area?
So I think what our planning manager was trying to say was that right now it's what's being proposed tonight and by the council is changing the base land use. There is no development or construction project. If a development project comes forward, they would be required to address any traffic or flooding issues at that time. This in and of itself will not change any conditions that are on the ground.
Okay, that's exactly the answer that I wanted.
Yeah, so in the future, yes, any development, whether it's this zone district or different zone district, would have to address those issues, yes.
Okay, thank you. That was the answer to my question. And I also wanted to just acknowledge the owner of Rivendell. I remember the last time we saw you at one of the meetings, you've taken a lot of action and implemented, I see a lot of things to keep your clients and your community safe. So congratulations on the purchase of your building. I think that's amazing.
Any other questions, comments? No? Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll bring it back to the commission. Do we have any comments or motion?
I would like to make a motion that we accept the staff's recommendations and move this forward. I think that this goes back to the Rivendell thing, because this was light industrial, something was going to be there that wasn't compatible with what they were doing. And so I think making this community commercial will make it potentially more compatible with their operation. So I'd like to recommend approval.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Bray. Do we have a second?
A second.
Just to be clear, you are making a motion to adopt option 2. Is that correct? Okay.
So we have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray.
Can I ask one more question?
Or is that with, that's fine.
Okay. And I guess maybe this is for the attorney. Can I ask?
You want? That's fine,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
John. I mean, you.
Yes, thank you. Does the owner of the property have any plans to develop it in the near future?
The owner would like to develop it, but the issue is that there's been kind of a constantly shifting sands in terms of what's allowed on the property. And the landowner's actually currently in discussions with a potential buyer to develop the property into something that actually has relatively low traffic, that would only be permissible in light industrial. So this would actually undermine those efforts and would further the possibility of this actually getting developed in a timely manner. And once it is developed in a timely manner, then some of these issues regarding the flooding, the holes will be addressed. The problem is that this is actually tonight, if the council or if the commission votes in favor of this, it's ultimately going to throw all that into disarray and ultimately put us back at ground zero in terms of starting over again. So we're going to have to go back, look for other buyers with other plans that are consistent with community commercial, which may or may not happen. So really what this is going to do is it's going to set back development, unfortunately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I ask a question of staff now?
That's fine.
Okay. Is it possible to separate the two parcels and approve one and not the other at this time and continue for the second parcel?
So what you can do is you can't entirely separate them into two separate actions. You could make a recommendation to City Council to change one parcel to community commercial and leave the other as is. or you can continue the hearing in its entirety to the next meeting or to a date certain. But in terms of completely separating them into two separate applications, that cannot happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Did we ever receive information on what the covenants in place are?
We did. I don't know if the planning manager is prepared today to speak to those, but yes, at the last time we had a hearing regarding a specific development proposal on the undeveloped parcel, we did have those covenants that were there. Do you recall, or is that something you would need to get back to the commission?
If I recall correctly, the existing covenants are primarily there for reciprocal and shared parking access between the two parcels, where one parcel, it's very difficult to, it's kind of very complicated CCNR, but it's very similar to the common CCNRs that we do have, or covenants and conditions and restrictions for shared access and parking. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Well, we have a standing motion made by Vice Chair.
Oh, sorry, I did have a question.
Go ahead.
And it goes to?
Which individual?
The attorney.
Mr. John.
Yeah.
Mr. Kinsey.
Mr. Kenzie, how much time were your clients thinking that they need in order to know for certain if this is something that they want to move forward with? And can you disclose what it is that they're looking to develop?
Yeah, I can't with specificity, and the reason is I just don't want to interrupt any. I don't want to interrupt any discussions, but I do think that, even if it's just 2 weeks, one month, in order for us to interface with the city, in order for us to interface with the adjacent landowners, that would be extraordinarily helpful, because I do think that if there is a solution that would result in the two properties being separated potentially, or zoning with one and the other, that isn't something that we've necessarily evaluated. But these are the types of creative solutions that dialogue fosters, right? And that's why dialogue is good, especially in instances like this where you're talking about somebody's zoning, right, and discussions that are ongoing.
And speaking of dialogue, have they been neighborly and let their neighbors know what they plan to do, or is that something that they're going to hold off on until they're for certain?
Yeah, we would actually need to get a little further into those negotiations before we could do that. Again, it's just because we don't want to interfere with those existing communications. That being said, one of the things that I will do if this meeting is continued is talk to the client about whether we can disclose that to the neighbors, because I do think that if we get neighbor buy-in, right, then on a proposed plan, I think that'll help everybody, right? And so I think that additional time will allow me to do my work with the client, will allow us to have the necessary communications with the city. Ultimately, if we're able to get something worked out that's amenable to everybody, I think that's a win-win-win, right? And I think that's, as policymakers, as residents, I think that's ultimately the best outcome.
I do.
I've got a couple.
Go ahead.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
How long has your client owned that parcel?
Ms. Assad, unfortunately, would probably be the best to answer it. My understanding is it's been about 4 or 5 years. Correct.
And do you have any idea of how much they have invested into that parcel to date?
I could potentially find out. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I do know they had to spend quite a bit of money when they were seeking to develop the car wash use. And, I think that's obviously something that they're frustrated about, that they got that far down into the process without, ultimately having an approval, and then ultimately having to go back to square one, right? And I think that through dialogue, we're trying to avoid going back to square one again.
I think going back to what you mentioned about open communication, I do hope that you disclose it, just because if it's that important in regards to the zoning, I would encourage you to disclose it so that way we can make a well-informed decision too.
Yep. And as soon as my client is done with graduation, that's a conversation that he and I will have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So can I withdraw my, I'm going to withdraw the
Same.
So we had a motion, but we went ahead and we're withdrawing that motion. Do we have a new motion?
I would make a motion that we grant the continuance for, is 2 weeks long enough? I mean, 2 weeks.
is sufficient.
I might just suggest 1 month, and the reason is that way we can actually engage in a meaningful dialogue. Just with the press of business, I don't think 1 month is too much different than 2 weeks.
So the commission, 2 weeks is June 19th, and 1 month would be July 3rd. You would need to continue to a date and time certain so that we had, or a date certain so that we did not have to renotice.
Okay, help me here, because I'm not sure how I should word it.
So you just, I make a motion to continue to X date, and you give us either June 19th or July 3rd.
I would like to give them till July 3rd, but will that meeting be canceled because the next day is a holiday?
We do not cancel meetings because the next day is a holiday. We meet on the first and third Wednesday. I don't take vacation. My staff doesn't take vacation. Yeah, absolutely.
Good to know. Good to know. I won't plan anything. Then I would like to continue to July 3rd.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Commissioner Calander. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We'll go ahead and do a, if it's okay with you, we'll do a second by Commissioner Wagner.
Sure.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Next, we have reports by Secretary.
Yes, so Israel does have a report.
Yes, thank you, Chair, members of the Planning Commission. This report pertains to a revision to a previously approved tentative track map pursuant to Section 15-4303C relative to revisions of track maps. The Director shall provide a notice per the following. The Director shall notify the Commission that the Director is reviewing the map and intends to approve the map. So just a little bit of background. Back in 2021 December of 2021, the City Council approved tentative track map number 6246. At that time, the track map contained 144 lots. The applicant has submitted a revision. They propose to add 1 lot, so the map now proposes 145 lots. Some of those lots are now proposed to be private and gated. This revision is currently under review. The Director intends to approve the revision. There is no Planning Commission action taken on this item. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Any additional comments by the public? Want to make a comment?
Is there any way we can get the gentleman information of
Yeah.
who he can properly contact?
I'm going to be letting Public Works know. Yeah.
Awesome. It's currently 6:38. Meet is adjourned.
I promise it's not intentional.
I think it's my fault. I have now decided that the only meetings that I've physically attended in person have been itty bitty nothing timeline.